Welcome to this week's VLSI Insider. This is Dan Hutchison.
This is Jason Apt.
And this is Risto Puhakka.
So anyway, there's not a lot going on, but there are some really interesting things. One of the things that happened in the last week was where it's clear retail electronic prices are bottoming. They've been declining for some time now. We sort of thought that the mobile phone decline was mainly because people were waiting for iPhones, so there was excess supply there. And then in the case of PCs, it was this question of have people essentially bought out, in the post-COVID Zoom crisis where everyone was adding PCs for kids' school and everything, or was it really just a post back to school purchase and now we were going to head into the Christmas season? Well, PC prices are on the rise, consumer prices are on the rise, and that really supports some of the exciting things that are going on, in some cases crazy. For example, 300 millimeter equivalent wafer costs in terms of what was in production last week were 40% over a year ago. Just insane price. Because the other thing is that we're on track to hit a record $0.6 trillion in 2021. Everyone talks about when do we hit $1 trillion? Well, we're 0.6 of the way there this year. That's how hot things are. And sales actually were on a weekly basis last week. They were $12 billion. They were almost there, and 12 billion is going to be another record. And we've been setting weekly records now for quite a while. So it's pretty exciting times. Now, Jason, you got some stuff. You wanted to talk about power. What's going on with this BMW GaN thing, and what do you see happening there?
Yeah. So I think I alluded to it maybe a handful of weeks back. I mean, a lot of what we talk about tends to be sort of leading edge from a manufacturing process standpoint or fabrication process standpoint. I have a bit of a passion for power semiconductors as well. And so I follow what's going on fairly closely. And again, I think in that last session, I had mentioned a company called GaN Systems. And in fact, this week, they just announced, along with BMW, a guaranteed capacity agreement for GaN products, for gallium nitride power semiconductors, to go into BMW's EV technologies, which, it's just a huge validation of the direction that GaN is taking, and some of the opportunity for the GaN makers to further sort of push into what is traditionally kind of a silicon carbide range. Now, if you read a little bit deeper, you can actually see that BMW's investment arm, technology investment arm specifically, was actually working or has been working with GaN Systems now for some time. So this all makes sense. And being from Ottawa, really happy to see an Ottawa company with that kind of success. From a technology, watch standpoint versus from a market standpoint, we continue to watch a lot of the market leader in gallium nitride, Navitas. So if you were to open up your GaN-based power supply for your laptop or your tablet, the chances are reasonable you're going to find a Navitas chip in there. I think they have about something like a 30% market share, give or take. And so we did a full suite of structural analysis on the latest Navitas chip. And what really struck me was a couple of things. One is from a lithography standpoint, from a fabrication standpoint, nowhere near as sophisticated as what we would see from leading edge logic or leading edge memory, DRAM, flash, doesn't matter. But there's still some huge engineering challenges that are going on. And a lot of it has to do with something called band engineering. We're going to get a little bit into physics here, but a gallium nitride based power semiconductor is sort of naturally on in its natural state. Whereas for sort of efficient power supply, you want it to be naturally off. And so there's a lot of engineering that happens to basically flip it from an on to an off device. And they've been able to do that. In fact, it's been done for many years. And we see that in the Navitas side. What really struck me, though, was sort of, I guess, how immature overall the GaN production still is. What do I mean by that? We're still seeing features, and I think this was actually Panasonic was working on this a long time ago, Infineon was working on this. Basically, we're still having problems with charges getting trapped in crystal dislocations. And again, this speaks right back to the fabrication process. And so what we're seeing are structures within the transistor itself that are designed solely to mitigate these charges that are getting trapped. Something that we shouldn't really be seeing in a highly mature process. And so what I expect is in the next 3, 5, 7, maybe 10 years, as the maturity increases, we're actually going to see the fabrication equipment and environments sort of getting higher and higher, not necessarily up to the level of what you'd see in mainstream logic right now, but certainly beyond where it is today.
Well, yes, just from the manufacturing side, I mean, the revenues are relatively small, in the hundreds of millions or so. So that doesn't support substantial manufacturing, automation, process control investment. So it's really still in the point where the tools have less automation, and all those issues, which is kind of interesting because it's still the driver is automotive, who requires a lot of reliability, which is an interesting challenge. So there's actually probably quite a bit of testing done on those devices before they get to actually put into cars and all of that, just to verify their quality at this point.
There's another thing happening here too, and that is that the need to automotive is driving AI, and the need for you have this bifurcated power drain going between moving to EVs and having the cars use electricity to be driven, and everybody wanting the longest mileage, and then you have AI, which really sucks battery power like crazy. And so this whole gallium nitride area is a huge opportunity, and it's being pulled along by this bifurcated bipolar pull from EVs and AI self-driving cars. So it's actually become a really exciting area where it used to be everybody yawned about power. Sorry, Jason.
No, nothing to be sorry for. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, it hasn't been getting a lot of mind share or market interest until now. And so again, with the market interest and some of the big deals that are going to continue to be announced, we're going to see more and more interest, and I would say more and more investment in maturing that technology.
And we see, I mean, investment, you see just a simple Googling up, you can start to see the companies offering solutions, investments, list of potential suppliers. It's in the tens very easily. There's a lot of research at the universities going on, depending a little bit on region. So it is an exciting little market to be in, because the growth numbers are pretty spectacular, no doubt about that.
Yep.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, if you want to think about it a different way, if you're an advanced logic supplier, is that the gating factor for your demand for your products in autos is going to be how fast power consumption improves, whether it's in your devices or it's in these devices, and these devices are going to be a huge gating factor.
Agreed. Yeah, and I mean, we're going to see a lot of trade-offs in, of course, like we always have, often have in the mobile space. It's the trade-off between power and performance, and no matter what application these days, whether you're mobile with a battery, in a data center and automotive, power consumption, power efficiency is becoming more and more of an important issue.
Yeah, and so anyway, thanks for taking the time today, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.